Hi there, are you ready to learn about multi-step equations? Well, if you're not, it's time to get there! Alright. Well, solving multi-step equations is just an extension of solving two-step equations, which is just an extension of solving one-step equations. We're just adding a couple extra steps, and they're all doable steps. So our learning target for today is to solve multi-step equations in one variable. A couple of vocabulary terms to look at first. To review, inverse operations. What are they? Inverse usually means opposite. So they are operations that are the opposites, or they undo each other. So if you have addition, subtraction would be the opposite. If you have subtraction, addition would be the inverse. If you have multiplication, division, and then the same thing. Division, the opposite would be multiplication. All right, next one, like terms. Because you're going to have to work on combining some like terms here. Like terms are terms in an algebraic expression that have the same variable raised to the same exponent. So like getting rid of the numbers, the coefficients that are in front of it, just is the variable terms exactly the same. So we're going to do a quick review of those before we get into our multi-step equations. So, the distributive property. Hopefully you recall, the distributive property is where you take one thing and distribute it to two or more other parts. And in math, we typically distribute multiplication. So this is a times the whole parentheses b plus c. So we distribute a times b and a times c and keep the same symbol. So it's ab plus ac. With actual numbers, or numbers and variables, we multiply by the same things as well. We do the 2 times 3x, keep the subtraction sign, and then do the 2 times 4. Alright, which will ultimately end up equaling 6x minus 8. Right, that's what it would be when you distribute it. Next review, combining like terms. This is another thing we're going to be using, and we just reviewed what like terms are. So let's use shapes to determine what ones are like. So let's start with the negative 1a. Remember, the variable we're going to use boxes is a. So is there any ones that just have a? It looks like this one, 4a. That's also like term with that. And just a, which is the same as 1a. Let's try this one, x. 5x is x squared. No, it's not, because it doesn't have the same variable, or raised to the same power. 3x squared also would not be. Alright, let's do triangles now. 3x squared. And we just said x squared would also be a like term. Nothing else is alike with that. And then finally, underlining, I think all we have left is the constants. Those are just, those are just the numbers. Those are all like terms. So if you want to review combining like terms, here's our one example. Find what terms are alike, combine it, and make this whole thing smaller. So, are there anything with 2x squared? We have change everything to addition as well. So plus negative 4 plus negative 1x squared. Oh, this is also 1 then. So the x squareds, we're going to have 2 minus 1x squared. So it's just going to be 1x squared. Alright, we're going to put boxes around any of the x terms. We have positive 3x and positive 1x. We have plus 4x. Alright, and let's circle constants. Negative 4, positive 9. That covers everything so far. So negative 4 plus 9 would be positive 5. So this is what this whole thing would be when you simplify it. We took everything, we combined what like terms we could, and we made it smaller. That's simplifying it. So try this one on your own. All we want to do is look for combining like terms. We don't have to solve it yet, but you might find that you would be able to solve it after you combine the like terms. So these are 5m plus 2m would be 7m over on the right side. Now, 5 and minus 23 plus a negative 23 are like terms, but they're on separate sides of the equation, so we're actually not going to combine them. That's an interesting rule. If they're not on the same side, you can't combine them. But we're going to leave it at this. You'll see now you have a two-step equation, and We know how to solve two-step equations. So that's our goal. Try to make it into something that we know how to do. So if you look at this picture here, this represents an older lady trying to climb up multiple steps. All right, the more steps there are, the harder it tends to get. But in this case, we're not gonna. I'm hoping it's not gonna be more challenging. Just maybe take a couple extra seconds to do it. So let's review our multi-step equations. I kind of combined 5 steps into 3 steps, but simplify each side of the equation by distributing and combining like terms. So those are the first 2 things you're going to be doing, looking for those on each side. Next, we're going to look for then regular like a 2-step or multi-step equation. Inverse operations with addition or subtraction first, then inverse operations with multiplication or division. Okay, and finally, if there are any exponents, we can undo the exponents, but I don't have that in there for right now. So I'm going to go through one example, and it's the one that we just did. We're going to look for if there's any distributive property, which there isn't. There's not even any parentheses. So we're good there. Combining like terms, though, we found that the 5m and the 2m, we're going to change this to plus and negative, do combine. So we have 5 equals 7m plus negative 23. Okay, done there. Now let's go on to it's a regular 2-step equation. So undo any addition or subtraction on the side of the variable. So on the right side, this minus 23 or plus negative 23 is added to the 7m. So we're going to do the inverse, which is adding positive 23 to cancel out that negative 23. And we're going to do that to the left side as well. And we're left with 28 on the left is equal to 7m. Check. Now get rid of the multiplication or division. So this is multiplication. We're going to undo it with division, dividing by 7 on both sides. And you end up getting 28 divided by 7 is 4 is equal to m, or m is equal to 4. And as I like to tell you, it's good to check your solutions. So the only thing different about doing it with these problems are you'll take it and put it into multiple spots. In this case, put it in for that m and in for that m. And it's a little bit more challenging to do in your head, but I'm going to do it. 5 times 4 is 20. Actually, we can put it right into here as well, but 20 minus 23 is negative 3. Negative 3 plus, whatever 2 times 4 is 8. Negative 3 plus 8 is equal to 5. And there we go. That's our 5. So that means we did it correct. All right. Now make sure you do this one along with me here. Write this down and write down the steps. This one, I'm going to slide it down just a little bit. So we're going to have to do some distributive property. So look at those steps. If there is a possibility of distributing, we're going to do that first. So in this case, there is. You can see right here, there's some parentheses. So it's 8 times all of that. So we're going to distribute, or sorry, negative 8. Distribute the negative 8 to each of those parts. I change it to plus and negative. So we have negative 8 times 2x plus negative 8 times negative 1 plus 6 equals 42. So this would be, now just to simplify this, we have negative 16x plus positive 8 plus 6 equals 42. Next step is, if you recall, look for like terms on each side. Right side there is only one term, so there's nothing like, but on the left side, this positive 8 and this positive 6 are alike. So let's just combine those. That makes 14. So we have negative 16x plus 14 equals 42. All right, that right there is a 2-step equation now. Now we can go to those 2-step equation steps and bring it up here and keep going with that. Uh-oh, we lost the 14. And so we're going to undo this addition that's on the left side, minus 14. Something's going crazy here, sorry about that. Alright. Left side we just have negative 16x And that'll be equal to 28. I believe that's all right. And finally, we're going to undo our multiplication with division. Divide negative 16 on both sides. Now you'll notice here, this is going to come out weird. Negative or 28 divided by negative 16. And you can reduce that. You can put it into a mixed number if you want. I'm going to leave it as, let's see, 4 goes into both of them, so it's going to be 7 over 4, negative 7/4. Now, I will say, for sure, anytime you get, that is a 4, by the way. Anytime you get a fraction like this, it's really important to check your answer because that doesn't happen too often. And I'm going to do a check in my head or with the calculator real quick. And if you do put it in, check it, put it in your calculator or do it in your head, or write it out, sorry, it will work out. So that is our correct answer. All right, I'm going to give you one to try on your own, and then at the end I'll show you the answer for this. It's 10 plus 14 equals negative 2 times the quantity 3x minus 9. Go ahead and try that one. All right, so the last thing I'd like you to do is to write down, this is going to be your closing thing, write down the steps you would do to solve the equation below. And I actually want you to write them down in words, like you're explaining to me how you would do this exactly. Okay, and I believe that's the last problem that we just did. But, yep, I believe it is. So I want you to actually write down in words before you check the answer as to what your steps would be. And if I ask you next time to be able to explain it, I expect that you'll be able to explain it to me or show me in words. Alright, so here's actually what you'd do. Not sure what just happened there, but I have it written out for you now. You end up getting the answer x is equal to negative 1. So even if you look at the work over to the right, I still want you to write out in words to be able to explain it. Negative 1 is your answer for this one. Alright, that is it for this section on solving multi-step equations. Please take a look at the learning objectives and learning target for today and see how you did. Be able to solve multi-step equations in one variable. Have a great rest of your day.